You've probably seen the ads about the place. Pay a fee to receive a kit and figure out your heritage with a few samples of your DNA. It seems pretty interesting, right? I thought so too, at least initially. I'm adopted, although I didn't find that fact out until about 3 years ago, when the people I thought were my real mom and dad sat me down and gave me the talk. Of course, I still call them mom and dad. They're the only ones that I've ever known. I'd be lying if I said my past and background didn't interest me. After all, who wouldn't want to find out about their real heritage? The thought lay dormant in the back of my mind, quiet but ever-present. I started taking notice of these ads and their services on the billboards, on the internet, and magazines. I found myself casually browsing different companies. But to a broke, minimum wage worker, it seemed like an unnecessary luxury. That was until the email arrived. New Earth Genealogical Testing, they called themselves. They offered all the same services as the other brands, but there was one major difference. It was a free service. Of course, nothing ever comes for free, and I knew that. I took a look at their website, all very professional and user-friendly. It seemed that they funded the free testing by selling the DNA of the people who used their service, and only under certain conditions. If your DNA held any interesting anomalies, if you suffered from a rare disease, or if you were at a high risk of developing certain conditions, they would sell your DNA on for medical research companies. I've always had an interest in scientific research, and if my DNA could help, then I considered it a worthy cause. I filled in the necessary details and I ordered the kit. It arrived soon after, and I excitedly tore open the packaging. It needed a mouth swab and a cut of hair. Simple enough. I provided it all and I sent it back. It would be several weeks until I heard something back from them. In the meantime, I carried on my life as usual. I worked my shifts at the coffee shop as usual. I met up with my normal friends as usual. Nothing abnormal. One night, I decided to ask mom and dad what they knew about my real parents. It was a frank and brief discussion, and the crux of it all was that they had no idea who my birth parents were. I was just another child in the system, with no family and no home. Abandoned. I resigned myself to waiting for the results to arrive. 2 weeks later, it came. I came home from work to find Dad holding the letter in his hands. "Here," he said, hands trembling slightly. "Your mother and I are going to go out. We'll give you some space tonight." I gave Dad a hug and I thanked him. They both knew that this was a big deal for me. Mom and Dad soon left, and I was left alone with the letter. I stared at it for a few good minutes, anticipating what would be inside. I took a deep breath and I opened it. 35% Hispanic, 55% Caucasian, 10% unknown. I read it again. 10% unknown. How does that even happen? What does that even mean? My anticipation for answers faded in the realization that some questions just can't be answered. I sank into the sofa, beer in my hand. Obviously, a free test kit was too good to be true. Mom and Dad came home and immediately sensed the mood in the room. Dad sat with me for a while, joining me for a beer while I spilt my guts over how I felt about the situation. "I'll tell you what," Dad said. "Mom and I, we'll put some money aside. Pay for you to have a real one done. Something professional." I knew that they barely scraped by on what they earned already. "No, Dad, you can't do that." "I want to," Dad said. We both want to. We discussed at dinner that we would do everything we could to help you, so we'll do it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be quick, but we'll save until we can afford to spend the money. I felt the lump in my throat, the beer helping my emotions get the better of me. Thanks, Dad. He left me to it. I sat in the quiet for a while, finishing off my beer. I went to bed and I prepared to face another day. For the next few days, things seemed to trudge along as they usually did. I went to work, I came home, I went to bed, I went to work again. Things seemed normal, except they were far from it. Normally, I took little notice to the customers who came in and out of the coffee shop, but recently I had noticed one that stood out. In the usual bustle of the shop, I never took note of who hung around in the background. Usually, it was a group of teens laughing and joking, or someone with a laptop having a working lunch. It was only by chance that I glanced at him, but once I noticed him, it was hard to not keep looking his way. He seemed innocuous enough. A middle-aged black suit and a black tie, with a pair of wraparound sunglasses seemingly embedded into his head. When I first looked, he was looking back, or at least I assumed he was from the way his head was tilted in my direction. The sunglasses made it hard to tell. Any other time, I would have shaken it off, but when I locked eyes with those dark shades, a shiver of fear seemed to grip my chest in a panic-inducing moment. I took a moment to gather my breath and I served the next customer. When I looked back, he was gone. It wasn't to last. I started spotting him every day. I would never see him enter or leave, but once every day, I would see him. The same fight or flight fear running rampant through my nerves. It had to be psychological, I told myself. It was just some guy sitting in the coffee shop. What could be scary about that? Even so, I ended up telling Mom and Dad about it. So, he just looks at you. Dad said. I nodded, but in a weird way. It's hard to explain. It's okay, Dad said. Your head's all over the place at the moment. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. Mom agreed. The discussion calmed me, and the next day at work, I didn't see the man at all. I smiled to myself. It was all in my head. Just my mind playing tricks on me. I got home that evening and things were odd. Mom and Dad were there as they always were, but they didn't seem like they were actually themselves. Dad spoke in a strangely stilted manner, and Mom didn't talk at all. The usual small talk while we ate didn't occur at all. They talked, but the conversation seemed disjointed. Is everything okay? I asked. Why would you ask that? Dad said, turning towards me. He pushed more food in his mouth and chewed it in a strangely methodical manner. The weather sure is strange today, Mom said, now looking up from her food. I frowned. The weather's been fine all day, I said. Dad smiled and turned back to his food. You got work tomorrow? I always had to work on Saturdays. I always do. Of course you do. A creeping feeling of discomfort settled over me. Well, thanks for dinner. I'm gonna go to bed. They both continued to eat. Good night, son. I made a swift exit from the room and I headed upstairs. I was so tired that I fell asleep relatively quickly. I awoke at around midnight. Something must have startled me in my sleep as I woke covered in sweat. I wiped my face. The stress of the last few days was beginning to manifest in my dreams. I got up from my bed and I made my way through the dark corridor outside of my room to the toilet. I splashed my face with cold water and I took a few deep breaths. In the quiet of the night, I could hear a distant owl, but there was something else beneath it. Somewhere nearby was a deep breathing, as if struggling for breath. It was coming from back down the dark corridor. I tried carefully, trying to pick out the location of the sound. My heart froze. Dad stood in the corner of the corridor, eyes shut as he sucked down shuddering breaths. How long had he been there? The same fear gnawed at me as it did back in the coffee shop. He muttered something under his breath, and as I got closer, I could make out what he said. Hispanic, Caucasian, unknown. He repeated it, his body juddering with ragged breaths. I backed into my room, unsure of whether to wake him or not. I shut the door and I pulled my chair across the room to brace it. I did not open it again until the morning. When I left for work the next day, neither of them could be found. I expected to find them having breakfast as usual, but they were gone. The car was on the drive, yet neither of them were anywhere to be found. I called both of their phones and was met with an odd, deep tone. I had to go to work, so I locked the house up and I left. I called my friend Ella as I went to work. Hey, what's up? I struggled to get the words out. Can I come to yours tonight? She paused momentarily. Is something up? You don't sound like yourself. It's going to be hard to explain, I said, but I'll tell you later. Can I say? Yeah, sure. You're worrying me. I'm fine, I said. I just need somewhere to stay for the night. Okay, swing by later. My entire day at work, I was on edge. I kept watching the corner, waiting for that man to appear, but he never did. My phone, on the other hand, had other ideas. My phone inhabited a small shelf below the till while I worked. It kept it close at hand so I could sneak a peek at messages in my quieter moments. It started flashing while I was serving about an hour after I started. I glanced down at it, to see if maybe Mom and Dad were calling back. What followed was a barrage of calls from unknown numbers. They weren't even numbers, which didn't make sense. Letters and numbers combined erratically, the calls stacking on top of another. As soon as the queue died down, I grabbed my phone and I answered. Each call was the same thing. A continuous and unsettling tone was the only sound from the other end, varying in pitch with each number answered. Next, the text messages came, garbled and nonsensical phrases and words coming through. Some held the same repeated phrase. Unknown. Unknown. Take him. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned my phone off and I shut the shop. I called Ella to check if she was home. She was, and I headed straight there. Ella's house wasn't far from the coffee shop. I stormed over there as fast as I could, my stomach lurching with nerves. I saw him again. This time he was sat in a blacked-out vehicle, parked at the side of the road. I took deep breaths in an attempt to calm myself, but whatever gaze hid behind those sunglasses somehow pierced me. I took a detour and I turned right through one of the back alleys. I walked past Ella's house in a hope of losing him. After 20 minutes, I decided that it had worked. I had not seen the man since. I arrived at Ella's and I hammered at the door. She opened it and without a word, I bundled myself inside. What the hell is going on? She said. I'm being followed. I replied. Concern etched on her brow. By who? You want me to call the police? I shook my head. I didn't know who I could trust anymore. I just need to stay here. For tonight. I'll go after that. Please. Alice saw fear in my eyes. Okay, but if anything happens, I'm calling the cops, okay? Evening soon rolled in, and I didn't dare switch my phone on again. I silently sat in Ella's bedroom, peeking through the blinds. The phone rang downstairs. She answered it and then hung up. It rang again. She answered again. She came upstairs. I just had the weirdest phone call ever, she said. I paled at her words. Who was it? Are you okay? Who was it? Ella sat on the bed and shrugged. Just some strange dial tone, I think. I swear I could hear someone in the background though. They didn't say anything. I just about swallowed the lump in my throat. I need to go, I said. They're gonna find me. It was Ella's turn to look frightened. Find you? Who? I don't know, I said, suddenly sheepish. I know it sounds stupid, but I don't know. Did you want to get some sleep first? I shrugged. Maybe? I couldn't see how I could ever sleep again. They would catch me somehow. I decided to set up camp in the window, watching the street below. I'm writing this from Ella's computer as we speak. I don't think it'll be long now until they catch up with me. Morning at the latest. I've seen that blacked out car driving past. I don't think they know that I'm here. Yet. I don't know what they want with me. But I implore you not to give away your DNA to New Earth genealogy testing. They're looking for something, and they might just find it in you too. I'm going to leave as soon as I get the chance. I'll go somewhere remote, somewhere I hope they can't find me. Please, please wish me luck. Either way, you will not hear from me again.